I'm your pocket filler, the parlay killer, the Northside thriller. Start the broadcast. Subscribe with a smash. The Gorilla Sports Podcast.
Welcome into the Gorilla Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Bulpin, and it's Friday, August the 2nd. All right, guys, we had one play yesterday, and we had one winner yesterday. This was a no-doubter. This was a great read. We took Lane Thomas to get over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. This cashed in the first inning. This was a no-doubter. We couldn't have called this one any better. We said he was going to get on base, and either Josh Naylor or Jose Ramirez was going to cash him home. So that's exactly what happened. Also, I took a little play on over 1.5 bases. I said that I know the FanDuel people don't have hits, runs, and RBIs, so I said you could pivot to Lane Thomas over 1.5 bases. That was at a minus 105. Again, that came in the first inning. So love that. No doubter. And actually, DraftKings had a big profit boost, so I ended up pairing a bunch of those guys together. I took Colton Cowser. I took Gunnar Henderson. I took Josh Naylor, Jose Ramirez, and Stephen Kwan, all to get 2 bases. And it came out to a 36-1 shot, and that came out through for me as well. So as small of a card as it was, I actually had a banging day yesterday, so that was a sick day. All right, so I told you it was only a small card yesterday, and it was a massive card today. I've got a ton of plays I love today. Let's get into them. All right, our first play is we're going to take the Kansas City Royals, the first 5 innings, plus half a run. Now, they're road underdogs today at Detroit. So Kansas City, they've won 4 in a row. They're playing really good baseball right now, and we've got Cole Reagans going. This guy's an absolute stud. Now he's 7-6. He's got a 3.23 ERA and 153 strikeouts. That comes 6th in the league. He's pitched once versus Detroit already this year, and he went 6 innings, gave up 1 hit, 0 runs, and struck out 12 batters. So he absolutely mowed through Detroit this year. Now, Detroit on the other side, they've lost 4 games in a row, and they've lost 7 of their last 9. The last time they won a game was when Tariq Skubal was pitching. Now, this guy's probably the hands-on favorite to win the AL Cy Young right now. This guy's an absolute stud. He's 12-3. He's got a 2.35 ERA. He's got 154 strikeouts, 1 more than our boy Cole Reagans. However, he's pitched versus Kansas City once already this year, and he gave up 6 hits and 4 runs. Kansas City went on to win that game 8-4, and they won the first 5 innings 4-0. So those are all great stats for us. So I like that one. Now that comes in at a minus 140. I got that one on FanDuel. So we're going to take Kansas City, the first 5, and you get plus half a run. So if it's tied after 5 innings, if it's 0-0 after 5 innings, we win that bet. Now, you can also just take Kansas City money line for the first 5 innings, and you'll get that at, I think, at a plus 108, something like that. So I don't mind that either. But I had a couple other plays that I messed around with this game. Now, I'm going to take Kansas City's team total in the first 5 innings over 1.5 runs. So we need 2 runs after 5 innings for Kansas City. Now, Skubal's given this up over 1.5 runs in the first 5 innings in 2 of his last 3 starts. And the other one was actually versus Cleveland, where he gave up 10 hits and only 1 run, which is super lucky. We've talked about this before. It averages out to about 2 hits for every 1 run scored. But to have 10 hits and only 1 run, that's a little strange. So he's covered. Teams have gone over this in 2 out of their last 3. Should have been 3 out of their last 3. And obviously, we talked about it already that Kansas City won 4-0 in the first 5 innings the last time he pitched versus them. So they went over that number again. So all that's adding up for us to get over 1.5 runs. And on that same kind of level, I took a race to 2 runs. I found that one on Proline, actually. So for Ontario people, if you have a Proline account, that's where I found that one. Now that's race to 2 runs. So again, we think Kansas City is going to have the favorite anyway, but they're the away team. They could score the first 2 runs in the first inning if that's how it goes. You don't get a chance in the second inning. That's why these odds are the way they are. So we get that at a minus 110. So I like that as well. So I got 3 plays going on just that game alone. All right. Now I got a bunch of batter parlays that I love today too, guys. All right. Our first one is we're going to take Juan Soto of the New York Yankees to get 1 hit. Now he's going versus Kevin Gossman, and he crushes Kevin Gossman. He's been versus Kevin Gossman twice. Gossman's pitched versus the Yankees twice already this year. And Soto went 4 for 4 with a double and 4 walks. Like, that is wild. He was on base 8 times in a row versus versus Kevin Gossman. So we're going to pair him with Steven Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians. Rarely do we get to pair these two guys together. Usually the odds are juiced so high that it's not worth to take a minus 150 on these two guys. But we get this at a minus 116. Now, Steven Kwan's an absolute stud. He's batting .333 on the year, and he's 3 for 5 versus Kramer in Baltimore today. So you pair those two guys, you get a minus 116. Our next play is, I never thought we'd be able to pair these two guys together, but we're going to take Bobby Witt of the Kansas City Royals. Now, he's on a 13-game hit streak. He's one of the best hitters in baseball, and he's actually 2 for his last 6 versus Skubal. So he has seen Skubal, and he has hit him 2 out of his last 6, so we like those numbers. And, I mean, Skubal's not going to pitch the whole game, so, we can get to the bullpen as well, where Bobby Witt's a back 9 hitter. He seems to come clutch late in games as well. And we're going to pair it with Gunnar Henderson of the Baltimore Orioles. Now, Gunner's on an 8-game hitting streak, and he's 3 for 3 with a homer versus Carlos Carrasco. Love that. Now, we're getting minus 124 when we pair these two super batters together. So I like those odds. I mean, I've seen Bobby Witt and Henderson together be like a minus 200 for them to get a hit. So at a minus 124, I like that a lot. Our next play is we're going to take Jurickson Profar of the San Diego Padres to get 1 hit. Now, he's batting .304 on the year. He's got a hit in 8 of his last 9 games, and he's 3 for 8 versus Austin Gomber in Colorado. So I like that, and we're going to pair him with Juan Yepez of the Washington Nationals. This kid's on fire since being called up. He's batting .341 on the year. He's got a hit in 19 of his last 22 games, and he's 2 for 3 with a homer versus the newly acquired Frankie Montez. So that's a beauty as well. And you pair those two together, you get a minus 112. Now, our last hitter parlay is we are going to take Willie Adams of the Milwaukee Brewers to get 1 hit. Now, he's got a hit in 11 of his last 14 games, and he's 4 for 7 versus Jake Irvin in Washington. And he's also 3 for 3 versus him this year. So that's beautiful. And we're going to pair that with Mason Wynn of the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, this kid has got a hit in 7 of his last 8 games, and he's 3 for 3 with a homer versus Assad of the Cubs. And you pair those two guys together, you get a nice minus 105. So I like that. So those are our 4 batter parlays. But I'm not done. I've found a couple of real gems that I like as well. Now, these are all just single plays on 1 batter. Our first play is we're going to take Paul Goldschmidt of the St. Louis Cardinals to get 2+ bases. Over 1.5 bases, 2+ bases, whatever your book says. But it comes in at a plus 165. Love that. Now, he's got a hit in 6 out of his last 8 games. But versus Assad, he's got a hit. He's 3 for his last 4 versus him. And one of those games, he got 2 home runs this year. He had a 2 home run game versus Assad this year. So that's 8 bases that he got in the one game. And we're looking for 2 bases. And we get that at a plus 165. That is a steal. I think that is extremely priced wrong. So we're going to take Paul Goldschmidt over 1.5 bases. Our next play is in that same game. We're going to take Dansby Swanson to get 2 bases. Now we get that at plus 180. Love that. Now he's got a hit in 9 out of his last 10 games. He's got 2+ bases in 3 straight games. And he's going versus newly acquired Eric Fedde. And he's 2 for 2 versus Fedde. And he's 7 for 13 all time versus Eric Fedde. Like, that is beautiful. Plus 180. I'm loving that. Dansby Swanson over 1.5 bases. And our last and final play of the day is we're going to take Juan Soto to go over his hits, runs, and RBIs. Now, we talked about his elite numbers versus Gossman already. He's 4 for 4 with a double and 4 walks, meaning he's been on base 8 times in a row versus him. In the 2 times Gossman's pitched versus the Yankees this year, he had 3 hits, runs, and RBIs in one and 6 hits, runs, and RBIs in the other. So he sailed over this by 4 and by 1.5. So I love that play. And that comes in at a minus 140. So you got to pay a bit of juice for that one, but I really like that one. All right, guys, we got a ton of plays going today. I think this is going to be a great start to the weekend. and I know you're rocking with me. Let's roll.